Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's about 8:30 a.m. on this Friday the 13th, 2024. Yes, it is that day, September 13th, actually. And, excuse me, just drinking some coffee to wake myself up. Woke up a little while ago. But anyway, I wanted to come on here and kind of follow up on my video where I talked about, Sony debuting its PS5 Pro and how it's fallen on its face because of the reaction, the negative reaction a lot of folks have, and justifiably so. Because, when you look at, the PlayStation 5 when it came out, it came out initially, I think, for about, I would say, $5.99, and then it dropped a little bit, went back up when it sold well, and so on. But it still was kind of like, it kind of dropped to a more reasonable price upon arrival. In fact, I think it was at that price. Now that I think about it, it was at that price initially, $4.99, and then it went up to, I think, about $5.29, and then back and forth kind of deal. But mainly stayed at $4.99. And basically last year, actually a year ago today, I went on Walmart.com and I purchased my PlayStation 5, and it came 2 days later, which was the 15th, and that's going to be this Sunday. But yeah, I purchased my PlayStation 5 online, got it 2 days later, and altogether, along with the $58 protection plan, 3-year protection plan, and the taxes, which I think amounted to about $38 or $39 in total. Let me check. Hold on for a sec. But yeah, basically in total, they they basically ran all together. When you add it all together, it ran for about, essentially, and I want to double check this, make sure I'm right. I'm right about this. I want to double check this real quickly. Hold on. Okay, here it is. It ran in total, when I bought it a year ago today, it ran in total for $596.30. That's what it did. Because again, the initial console without tax, $499. Then the add-on protection, the 3-year protection plan, went for $58. It went for $58. And then, if that's not enough, the tax, of course, you gotta have tax with it depending on where you live, went for $39.30. So altogether, that was $596.30. And that on its own, that console on its own is a lot less. It's a lot less, and this is the complaint a lot of people have, is a lot less than what Sony is charging for the upcoming PS5 Pro in November that's digital only. See, they can understand justifying $4.99, if not $6.99, for a physical disc version of the PS5 Pro, just like it was justified for $499 to $529 price tag for the physical PS5 version that came out a couple years ago that I got last year. People can justify that. They can justify that, but the point I'm getting at here, ladies and gentlemen, the point I'm getting at is a lot of folks feel that it's that when you compare the two, that what Sony is doing is essentially, in some people's eyes, a scam, because you're trying to justify a price tag of $700 basically for what? Some upgrades here and there, what? Bigger, more powerful GPU, CPU, AI technology that helps you redefine images better, advanced ray tracing, and so on. It's like, okay, we get that, but if you're going to justify selling the PS5 Pro with all that, all those, bells and whistles added in, and upgraded, you should justify it by making it a physical disk drive you're going to sell, and not just a digital version. Because I think one thing people have pointed out, I haven't watched all the videos or reactions, but I'm sure people will bring it up if they haven't already. If they check the sales charts, the PS5, physical version, physical media version, sold more than the digital version because people still value physical media. They still value physical disc and having them. They don't like this whole notion and everything that, oh, we can buy it digitally, but then Sony, according to some, if they decide to take a game off that you have purchased and now you no longer have it there, they don't feel that's right. They don't feel like that should be something that is necessary. So hopefully, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, towards the end, hopefully Sony hears these complaints and realizes, yeah, we goofed up. We made a mistake. Because again, if me paying altogether just for the console itself, which includes the game, which includes, the controller and the stand, which you could use to balance your console either vertically or horizontally, if me paying altogether protection plan, taxes, and all that, $596.30. If me getting all that cost less than what they're charging for giving you less, which includes no stand and no disk drive, then what sense does that make? It makes no sense. It makes no sense because, again, I paid less than what they're charging for this initial release on November 7th, which gives you just the system and the controller, but no stand, no disk drive. Because the disk drive, you have to purchase, the one you put under your console, if you have a digital one, you have to purchase individually for as much as something like this. That's what you got to purchase for something as much as this. And that's stupid. Now, I was fortunate enough to get that controller for less than it's initially sold. Because sometimes it's sold for $75, rounding that out, to, at times, if you want the Pro, to $80. And the Pro basically is as much as what they're charging for the disk drive. This is not a Pro, but still, you get the idea. And then they're offering you the stand individually for what? For the amount of a PS4 game or PS5 game that's been around since the beginning and now it's down in price? I mean, you want to know how much they're charging for the stand? This came out initially for $59.99, quickly went down to $49.99 because, of course, it's MLP and it's meant for kids, but all ages like MLP. And I'm willing to I'm giving G5 a chance, and I like what I see so far. But anyway, basically, this right now, as far as I know, is around $39 to $29, depending on where you buy it. And that right there is what they're charging you for the stand individually for the PS5 Pro. This is why people are upset, because they bought the original digital version and the original physical version for a lot less, protection plan or not, taxes or not, probably with taxes, but they paid a lot less for that altogether, which included a stand and controller, digital or physical. They paid a lot less, like I did, than what Sony is charging for this. And that's what's pissing them off. That's what's pissing them off, because basically, you're asking people to basically pluck down the amount of money that costs individually, for a game or a controller, depending on, what kind of version of the game you get or what kind of version of the controller you get. They're asking you to pluck that down in addition to plucking down for something that costs like this. Now, it's like Sony, are you serious? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? You're not. And you know what's crazy? A lot of people are putting out the memes, and joking around that, oh, this is Sony's way of getting back at you for not buying Concord and making it a success. Well, whose fault was that for that game's, dismal release or, reactions or impressions that people gave it? I'm just saying. Who's to blame? Surely not the consumer. Surely not the gamers and all that. It's you, Sony. You're the ones to blame for that. So, you're the ones that should take responsibility. And yeah, you took the game off your, your PlayStation Store and everything, and people that bought it probably are stuck with it now, if they can still operate it. But still, the thing is, it's your fault for that game not being good. And everything. Well, at least you and the developer that you were exclusive with when it came to that game. It's your guys' fault, not the consumer. Not the consumer. So again, like I said, don't take it out on them. But this is why, this is why, in the end, folks, in closing, this is why people are upset. Because essentially, this game is like $39, $29 now, depending on wherever you buy it from. But if somebody's selling it for like $29 or $29.99, you're essentially buying. This is essentially the price of the stand for the PS5 Pro, maybe more, depending on who sells it for a little bit more. And then the controller and this game are as much as the disc drive. At least the controller is. And again, it depends on the version of the game you purchase. This is, again, in closing, this is why people are upset. Because Sony doesn't realize that people paid a lot less, even when they bought the system initially, with maybe even a game. They paid a lot less than what they're charging here. For something that, yeah, the only thing about it is everything has been upgraded, all these bells and whistles have been added to make it better, but it's digital, and it doesn't include what people were always used to. So hopefully, like I said at the end of my last video yesterday, Sony takes this feedback, holds back on the release of the system, and then releases it along with the physical version in 2025. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, and until then, I'll talk to you later.